Good day, leaders. Can someone confirm if you can hear me? Thank you so much. Yes, thank you, Leader Agnos. Thank you. Thank you, Leader Paul. How are you? Awesome. Thank you, leaders. And I want to once again thank you for joining this week's masterclass. Thank you, everyone. It really shows your commitment. Thank you for always showing up. Before we start, I'd like to say a big thank you to the global president, deputy global president, for the opportunity, to host this masterclass every Wednesday. And we have really gone a long way. Before we start the class today, I'd like to quickly inform you that in case you are not able to listen in, via the Google Meet, you can definitely reach out in the YouTube channel, the live YouTube channel, which we are using again, for this presentation. And then before we move on, I also want to quickly share our ground rules because today's session is very special. We will be having we'll be having two leaders talking to us today. So I will please like to pledge your indulgence to please mute your mics when you are not speaking so that we can hear our leaders when they are communicating with us this afternoon. Leaders, thank you once again, leaders across Africa and in thank you for joining today's masterclass. It promises to be a very engaging session. Before we start, as usual, I'd like us to pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this moment. We thank you for the place leaders. Please, when you come in, please try and mute your mic. Thank you so much. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this moment. We thank you for the calling placed on every leader here. Thank you. Today is not just a session, Lord. Today is a moment of activation. As we listen, may we not just learn, but also act. Lord, we thank you because today will untie every knot that has held us back, fear, doubts, delay. Today you give us clarity of purpose, boldness to move, and discipline to build. Today, let today's session spark movement. Let it spark commitment, movement across nations, communities, and even in the continent at large. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
And
Thank you so much, leaders. Again, thank you. Thank you awesomely for always being here. There is the power of showing up. Showing up shows commitment. Showing up shows that you believe in the vision. Thank you so much, leaders. Before we start, as usual, we would have to do our WIFO, and I want at least two leaders to just, if you feel led, to just share with us your WIFO. Why are you here today? You've been in this journey with us in the Leadership Masterclass. Why are you here again today? Why are you here? And how does this sessions align to your purpose? I can see Leader Jane Radebe, you just joined. I know I'm hitting you now, but if it's possible, can you unmute and just share with us your WIFO? Thank you. Leader Jane. Am I still being heard? Can anyone? Am I still being heard, leaders?
you're clear.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Any leader can please share their WIFO. Leader Agnes, I see you. You joined pretty early. Can you share with us your WIFO, please? In just a few seconds.
Good morning, leaders. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Yes, my WIFO is, I want to know more about this, and I'm busy with the community. I'm a community worker, and I need, we need to get together. And this is why I'm coming back every time to these meetings, so that I can go into my community and get the crowds together and do whatever I need to do. Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. Much
Awesome.
appreciated.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for that powerful wifo. And I really think that today's session will really help you to do more in your community. Thank you so much for all you do in your community, leader. And thank you for always showing up just like every other leader. I'd like to hear from one other leader. If we do not have, then we can move on to our next segment. Does any leader want to share your wifo, just like Leader Agnes shared? Leaders, please, let's engage. It's a family affair now. We're used to this. All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Leader Agnes. I'm just gonna quickly share with you my waifu, since this is why are we here? I'm not just here to come and listen. I'm here because for every time I come into these master classes, I'm being built up and I'm becoming a different person every time I come into the master class. Last week's session was really amazing. Today, I want to know the how. How can I actually start up my CDCs and how can I sustain my leaders? So thank you so much, leaders, once again for joining. I would like to introduce our session today. Of course, we know that today's session is a leadership masterclass. The chapter we are in is the knots and the CTASA in action. Now, today's session is very different. Today is not a teaching session, leaders. Today we are sharing evidences. We are listening to veterans and agile leaders in our midst who have walked the talk. It is easy to talk the talk, but it's not that easy to walk the talk. Today, we're going to be listening to leaders who have walked the talk. So, chapter 12 is about knocks and the CTASA in action. Knocks, leaders, are the things that stop leaders from moving and making progress. Remember, today we are being real. Of course, we've been real all these weeks, but we are really coming to how does it really work? So the challenges leaders face when they are building their community. It could be fear, it could be confusion, it could be lack of structure, it could be waiting for permission. You need to be led by someone. But leaders, if you have gone through this masterclass and you've been in this journey with us, you would know that the CTASA is a system that untangles these knots. And you have learned so far that the CTASA is when you are called, like every one of us, we are all called. Then we are training and building ourselves. Every Wednesday, we come together to train and build ourselves. We give ourselves authority through your different sectors. You are sent and we are accountable for our work. These are the things my speakers are going to be sharing with us today. So today we're not just speaking to leaders who have just learned all of this, but they have actually applied the CTASA system and model. Leaders, they have built CDCs, they have built movements, and they are living their purpose. Just like you and I, if you are on this call, you are absolutely here because you are living out your purpose. Without wasting much time, I'm going to be introducing our leaders. Our first leader is a veteran in the IEDF, and I hold him with so much respect. He's one of my favorite leaders. Every time I'm in meetings and he's sharing his rifle, if you're asked to give the mic to somebody else, the next thing he's going to call is Leader Mary. So it's no other person like than Leader Paul Marie. He is the African head for festival. He's the founder of IEDF Côte d'Ivoire. He's a deputy chair in Côte d'Ivoire. He built strong CDC structures. And his mission in IEDF is to empower 10 million people through arts and culture. Leaders in the room, please let's give some love to Leader Paul Marie. He's going to be speaking to us today. So let's see your emojis. Thank you so much, leaders. He is simply amazing. All right. Okay, my next guest today is no other person. We know him. He is my what do I call leader now? He's my fellow comrade, leader Mayamvala Joseph from Uganda. He is my fellow comrade. All right. Leader Joseph is the Ugandan chapter head for leadership training. He drives grassroots recruitment and CDC formation. We've seen his work on social media. We've been sharing his work. He's amazingly passionate. And I'm really honored again to have him on the call. He's been working in markets, in communities, and the informal sectors. He's turning real challenges into real solutions. Leaders, let's give a warm welcome to Leader Joseph. I don't take it lightly that I have you again. Leader Joseph, you are absolutely welcome. So we want to get into our discussion for today. Leaders, like I said to you, today we're having a discussion, and I'd like us to please open your heart and learn. Let's learn together from these leaders as they share with us their life experiences and their take homes, how they have solved solutions in their communities using the IEDF model, leadership model. And I want to go to our veteran, one of our veterans in IEDF, which is Little Paul. Little Paul, bonsoir, leader. Bonsoir, leader. Little Paul, welcome. Yeah, bonsoir, bonsoir. Leader Paul, I like to start today by sharing with us, leader. When you came into the IEDF space, when did you realize that it's not just a walk? We've been talking about calling. It's not just you are walking, but it's actually a call for you because you've done so much. When did you realize that it's not just walking, but it is a call upon your life to do what you're doing in the IEDF? So I'd like you to introduce your work in the IEDF space and how did it become a calling? When did you realize it is a calling? Now, leader, while you were telling us that, I'd also like you to tell us, what problems did you really see in Africa that made you take the actions that you have taken? Then my last question, leader, I like you to exhaust because I didn't want to interrupt you, when you are flowing. So how did arts and culture really become your mission? How did you know that this is really what you want to do in the IEDF space? So I believe you've gotten my question. I just want to know, how is it a calling on your life? What problem did you see in Africa that made you act? And how did art and culture become your mission? You've done so much, in the IEDF space. Little Paul, you've got 5 minutes to share with us. Go ahead, leader. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leader Mary. And my intervention here is both a testimony and a sharing of experience. And I want to answer directly to this question. I will explain the journey since 2000, how God calls me. And I didn't realize it was a call until this year, 2026, how I recognize that God calls me through IDF. At the core, I'm trained in, I'm a CEO of a company of advertising, which is called Amendla, and I'm also a musician. And in 2000, my dream was to organize a big event, a Pan-African music event. This event, this idea came to me like a revelation. I'm very sure that it was a revelation. In August 2000, after returning from a pilgrimage in Italy and following a short prayer, I felt the need to organize an African music fair. I tried in 2003, 2004 with friends, but we failed. However, one of my very close friends is now a member of IDF, Kami Yao Kwaku, is following the session. He's the only one who stayed with me. because all the others failed. They left us. And in 2015, God inspired me to create a communication company. It was my third one. And I felt I should name it Amandla, like Amandla in South Africa. And in May 2019, I traveled to South Africa for the first time, not knowing it was a diving whale. In August 2019, I returned to South Africa and met the organizers of a Cape Town Jazz Festival, with whom I signed a 4-year contract to organize a festival in Côte d'Ivoire called Abidjan International Music Festival. Unfortunately, COVID prevented us from implementing the contract. In 2020, during a business trip I organized in Cape Town, I met Chantal Maxime, Deputy President of IGF of IGF. I officially joined IGF in 2025. Meanwhile, I began the organizing business mission between Côte d'Ivoire and South Africa, sending delegation of Ivorian business leaders each year to Cape Town, Johannesburg, and Pretoria, including a visit to the Embassy of Côte d'Ivoire in South Africa. Despite all this, I felt uncomfortable, feeling something was missing. Through prayer, I realized I was drifting away from the vision God had placed in me. And after that, and when I joined IGF, I realized that it was a place where God wants me to be. Because when I spoke with David Venter, the global president, he told me, share your vision with me. And I share my vision with him. And I realized this day, it was in May 2025, I realized this. I really realized that it was a call for me to join IGF. And this was a place I can, it was a place where my dreams came through, the vision God placed in me. That's what I want to say, calling.
Wow, thank you so much. Yes, leader, thank you. I like to quickly out what you said. It became a vision, it became a call when you found out that beyond building, can we please mute? Thank you. Beyond building a monument, you wanted to build a movement, because I could hear you. You were a musician, and that's amazing, leader. I never knew that. All right. But you now found out that being in the IEDF, it means you're going to raise leaders. That's where the call comes in, when you're going to use what God has given you to empower others and raise leaders, rather than just being in your organization. That's what I've taken away from this conversation. Thank you so much, Leader Paul. I will be getting back to you very soon. I still have many more questions to ask you, but I want to get to Leader Joseph. Leader Joseph,
Yes,
fellow comrade leader, you've been doing a lot of work in Uganda. I'd like you to share with us. In Uganda, you are working directly with people in the market. What did you see that made you say, I must act? What were the challenges people were facing, the pain, in people that stirred your heart to say, I want to do this with IEF, and you joined the IEF leader? Yes, you're already on the table. Go ahead and share your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, my sister, Leader Mary. I'm always grateful for this opportunity. In a special way, I want to salute my global president. Another special way, I'll be salute Comrade Paul. You see, art and culture is one of the greatest businesses we have here in Uganda. In fact, it has elevated a person to become a presidential candidate. So, hopefully, after this lecture, I will have a one-on-one talk with Mr. Paul, and maybe we share more about arts and culture, because it is a very strong and influential sector here in Uganda that has even elevated one of my role models, called Robert Chagwan Center. Some of you might know, is called Bob to the level of contesting for presidency. Anyway, that will be my favorite chat with Mr. Paul after this lecture. But to start with, Leader Mary and other comrades present, The pushing factor that always forced me to be part of the IDF is the ideas that IDF stood for and the elevation it believed in. First, IDF did not believe in looking for professors, looking for these well-established, strong, whatever people, but looked at we, the grassroots people, and it aired out our views, and it focused more on training us and elevating us. Why did I start with the market? I have a market background. Like how Mr. David says in his Masterclass book, his father and mother owned the garage. My father and mother, Mr. and Mrs. Daniel Casato, began in the market after getting married. During the 1990s, there were lesser restrictions. The economy was quite a little bit fair because Uganda had just went through a civil war, so things were a little bit moving faster. So God enabled them to begin in the market. They looked after us. God elevated them financially to other positions they're occupying and to other businesses they're occupying today. But beginning with the market, as time went on, when I finished studies, my senior school studies, I chose to study the university as I was partly attending a certain market called Parkayard. As I also partly did event management. I was doing event management, but I was also a vendor in a certain market called Parkayard. But a certain state player developed interest in that market. At first, it began by banning merchandise of people. We could experience fires, routine fires, routine fires. Then after, he came out one day without hesitation, and he took a decision of waking up to forcefully take over the land. I had just secured a loan from a certain financial institution 2 weeks. And not only me, but very many, over 20,000 people were looking at Parkayard Market as their home of survival. Nothing happened. From then, I began thinking, how comes that members of the informal sector usually the targets and culprits of injustice? I said, no, we have to come up with a voice that first advocates for our rights, second, that bargains for our share on the country's share, because we contribute the biggest percentage to the GDP of our countries. We contribute the biggest percentage to the employment of our countries. We support politicians. We are the backbone of almost each and every event here. So I was like, no, we shouldn't just sit there and be used like toilet paper. We should have a voice that puts us together. I had this dream from 2020, but of course, I was finding a way of starting it, and IEDF jump started me. The injustices the members of the informal sector went through, and of course, lack of a joint voice, because we lacked a joint voice that could air out our issues. Politicians would just manipulate us. They come for showbiz, they come for cameras, but after nothing happens, I was, no, something has to happen. I decided to mobilize my friends slowly by slowly. We thank God. I got to know about the IDF. I got to know about the Masterclass. I began convincing them to go through the Masterclass so that we face our oppressors with some good wisdom and reasoning. And we ended up joining IEDF and forming our CDC here in Kampala to partner with IDF and other well-wishing and servant-leading organizations that we shall partner with to see to it that we advocate for better working conditions of people from the informal sector. We lobby for skilling of members of the informal sector, and all in all, help them mobilize capital to jumpstart their business and fight against injustice, advocate for their better working conditions, because that they've not benefited from it. A lot of programs have been set by government in the name of benefiting ladies, youth, and people from the informal sector. Here in Uganda, you have a certain program called Parish Development Motto. We had the Ntandikwa one time. We had the Operation Wealth Creation that was made to survive, to help people in agriculture, small scale agriculture. But all did not benefit the would-be beneficiaries, but they were hijacked by politicians and used for political gain rather than transforming society. So we were like, we should have a voice. We created our CDC. Slowly by slowly, we are very grateful. IEDF is partnering with us and it's helping us very much to air out our view globally. Hopefully, very many partners are coming on. We are recruiting very many people and pushing on the agenda. Leader Mary.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much, leader. Thank you. You've got so much to say, but amazing. Thank you for identifying the challenges, in your community and how you align it to the IEDF as a platform that gives people the opportunity to air their view and to be able to know their rights within the informal. Thank you so much, leader, for sharing with us. Leader Paul, I hope you're still there. I just want to share with us what were challenges you faced while starting your CDCs. How did you, what were the resistance you faced from people? Did you have structure? What were the funding challenges? And how did you solve these challenges within the time you were building up your CDCs? Leader, we need you to share with us, real life challenges and how you untied that knot using the CTASA model. Leader Paul.
Okay. Thank you, Leader Mary. And
Thank you.
Yes, I will use the same example of the festivals. Is clear for me. Is a clear example of how we enter into the notes and how we build CDCs. Because when I started my journeys during for festival, I choose collaborators to work with me, and I try to do a lot of things. Like I said, I failed. I failed one time, twice, three, etc., etc. I was not comfortable, and when I joined IDF, I understood the different notes that are prevented me from bringing my festival project to fruition. The first note was the choice of collaborators. I chose very competent people, but they didn't share the same vision that I've given in me. The second one, obstacle from authorities. They recognized the project, but couldn't support it. 3, lack of sponsors. Sponsors were more interested in projects with immediate profitability. So they found my project interesting, but they refused to commit. 4, the lack of financial resources. 5, geographic calling. I'm an Ivorian, but I realized that I must leave my country for the one where God was leading me. It means that you can have a vision in a country and realize it in another country. CDC is something new in Cote d'Ivoire, in our organization. It's just something new in our organization. And the format of IDF is different. So it's not be very easy to implement it in Cote d'Ivoire. When we start building the CDCs, I spoke to some friends. They did the leadership masterclass. They also did the CDCs. Some was very, very comfortable, but when it was time to build the CDCs, it was not easy. But we with advices, with time, we realized that it's important to build the CDCs if you want to do the job in the ground. That's why now we are very comfortable and we are building 10 CDCs in Cote d'Ivoire for now. 10 CDCs, and we're progressing to have more than 10. I think by the in a few moments, we will have 15 CDCs. Thank you, Leader Mary.
Thank you so much, Paul. That's amazing. Thank you, leader. I just want to quickly highlight what you said, my leader. The first thing I took away from you is that there will be challenges. But the first thing you did was you recruited people who were competent and they believed in the vision. You recruited the right people, team to work with you. The second thing is you collaborated. You collaborated with IEDF and you learned the IEDF leadership model. All right. The third thing you did was you moved from Cote d'Ivoire, you came to South Africa, and you began to engage with other leaders. And leaders, I'm sharing this with you because these are the actions you must take. While we share information with you, don't sit down in your country and say, oh, everything has to. You need to come out of your comfort zone and engage with others so that we can achieve this. The last thing you did was you began to train people and began CDCs, because without grassroots, you really will not be able to achieve more. Thank you so much, Lee. So these knots, the challenges you face, were not your enemies. They were your training ground. And look at you, leader. You're already working on 15 CDCs. Amazing. Thank you so much for what you have done so far. Going back to leader Joseph, leader Joseph, I'm sure you're still there. Now you're working in different environments. What were your fear? What were the challenges you faced? Can you mute your mic, leaders, if you're not speaking yet? What were the fears you faced when you were building leaders in Uganda? You've got quite a lot of leaders. I've been in your meetings. All right. How do you train them? How do you send them? And how do you get them accountable? Joseph, talk to us.
Thank you, Leader Mary. The first fear we are facing right about in Uganda is what we call a massive crackdown on civil society organizations and movements in Uganda. So that usually frightens would-be members to join you. But as a leader, I comfort them, I train them, I counsel them, and majority of them have tried to believe in me. That is why you see in small numbers, we usually make our workshops. Some are in the field, some we carry them at our temporary office, and they go on. So the biggest fear you had right about now is the crackdown on civil society organizations in Uganda. Most of the civil society organizations in Uganda have had their leaders arrested, questioned by intelligence. Most of them have got their accounts, bank accounts frozen by state, and some of their members implicated, and of course intimidated. That is the greatest fear we are going through right about now as partners of IDF in Uganda. But we believe in God that we shall overcome it. The issue of lack of support, I do not believe in the word lack. I think the word lack to me means you've accepted defeat. I only think that's limited. I might say there's limited resources, of course, as you know. As we organize our field tours, we need resources. Sometimes we collect the little we can as members. We buy refreshments, transport. Sometimes we use what is present. We talk to our friends, our leaders. For example, sometimes you saw us in the garage. One of my leaders, Alex Mpaji, facilitated the process of getting to that garage. We facilitated the transport. We branded ourselves because all that is needed. In order to connect with our local people, we need to brand them. For example, those in markets, aprons and reflector jackets could work with them, could help us bridge that gap, would make us more friendly to them, and would help us brand with them. So, of course, there is sometimes a problem of a challenge of resources. They are limited, but as our servant leaders, we believe that we can use the little that is present to do work as our God maybe brings other opportunities. We could not just sit there and cry, say, there is no money. That is why sometimes we put our workshops in garages. We put our workshops inside our market areas where people work from, because they want to need transport refund and other things. We are just planning maybe to hype it more and put in some media campaigns. As you know, media is a little bit expensive. We are planning to put in some media campaigns. We are planning to add on the branding part of it and maybe do more connections. But of course, our first issue is limited funds, but that does not limit us from going off. Of course, people believing or not believing in us is two-sided. Some people believe in us, but they have one problem. They want quick fixes. And they want things that yield them in one night. Yet what we are doing is something that is not only looking at
It's a
a
journey.
quick fix, we are looking at transforming, and the process of transformation isn't something you achieve in one night or one day or 1 week. It is a process that you need to give time, training leaders, empowering them, helping them to start up or helping them to amplify their businesses, and watching them grow to achieve, watching those in authority accept you with your proposals, watching those other players in civil society, other trading organizations, other players like the diaspora, the international community, local government, central government accept you and listen to you. This isn't something you achieve in one night. So I think most people believe in us, but they have that problem of not being a little bit patient enough to see what you achieve. But the good thing, some understand us, and as time goes on, others will learn with the process.
Thank you, leader. Thank you. Yes, thank you so much, Leader Joseph. I'd like to really thank you for the points you raised. And I just want to share with the leaders, I hope you are really listening skillfully for what our leaders are sharing with us. I take away two things from you, Leader Joseph, as you spoke with us on the challenges you faced in building your CDCs. The first thing is that you did not give up. You believed in your CDCs and in your community. You are building leaders and not followers, because I hear you collaborating with your leaders when it comes to resources. You said there is nothing like limited or lack of funds. It's just, you being able to be diversified. You work with the community. I heard you when you said that, connect with the community. All right. You said connect with the community, work with your executives, and pool resources together and start. That is one of the ways you have managed your CDCs and you have trained your leaders. All right. So thank you so much, because you are building a movement and not just a monument. Thank you so much, leader. I'd like to move on to section 4, where we now want to talk about quickly success stories. Leader Paul, I've heard some of your success stories. In 2 minutes, leader, I'd like you to share with us how your CDC has grown, the impact through festival. We want to hear your impact, through festival so far, and leaders that you have raised. I want to hear the numbers, leader, the leaders that you have raised in the IEDF, sector when it comes to arts and culture. Please share with us your success stories. Go ahead, leader Paul.
Thank you, Leader Mary. It's not only in the sector of festival; it's also in the sector of as a chapter of Côte d'Ivoire. It's very important. It's very important because uh, some leaders, when they learned when they did the leadership masterclass, they was very happy to learn all about, and they build the CDCs. And also the sector of festival, we have our own executive in Côte d'Ivoire, and we are and each member of the executive
Go
is
ahead, leader
building
Paul. We
is.
lost you there. You can come back. Yes.
Oh, sorry. Do you hear me now? Do you hear me now? Okay. And I said that we in Côte d'Ivoire we have our own executive of festival, and every member of every member of the festival is also building his own CDC, and every CDC has an event, and we want to expand in the other countries. And the sector of festival is not only a festival in Côte d'Ivoire, is now a festival in the whole Africa, because IDF gave me a mission to break barriers through festival in Africa, and that's why we are now building. And in every country, the sector we really have a sector of festival and also a CDCs, because the CDCs are very important for implementing all we are doing through festivals. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Leader Paul. Leaders, did you take note of that? I like to say that again. A festival in Cote d'Ivoire is not just a festival in Cote d'Ivoire, but it's a festival in the whole of Africa. Through the IEDF, whatever you are doing in your community becomes a prototype for the whole of Africa to replicate that. And that's what Leader Paul is doing. Amazing. Thank you so much, Leader Paul. I see you. I see what you're doing. Thank you so much. And I'm coming to you. I'm going to do jazz with you. All right, Leader Joseph. In closing, Leader Joseph, I'd like to find out from you how are you ensuring that what you are doing in Uganda is beyond you, Leader Joseph? How are you ensuring that what you're doing in Uganda is beyond you? How are you replicating yourself in the community and you are doing others? Just want to hear your success stories here. You've done quite amazing work. Leader Joseph, over to you.
Leader Mel, may you please come again with the question?
2 minutes, Leader.
May you please come again
All
with
right,
the question?
yes, Leader Joseph, can you unmute? All right, but mute first so that you can hear me, Leader. You gotta mute so that you can hear me. All right. I was asking you, Leader Joseph, in closing, in 2 minutes, I'd like to hear from you. How are you ensuring that what you are doing in Uganda, it's beyond you? Remember, we're building a movement and not a monument. How are you training others? How are you replicating yourselves in the community? Share with us your success stories, what you are doing to replicate yourselves in various communities in Uganda. We've seen your pictures, but we need to hear from the man, the real man now. Go ahead, Leader. You can unmute.
Thank you, Leader Mary. Now, a great man I like so much in history, John F. Kennedy, once said that great leaders are not leaders who build followers, but are leaders who build more great leaders. First and foremost, when I read the Masterclass, the sending factor and the training factor guided me on this. You are the first thing you have to do is you have to train those you see with the calling and be able to send them. And you have to not feel insecure to send people. We have done this through first identifying possible leaders. You see, sometimes there are great leaders who might not be that much educated, who might not be that much sophisticated, but who just need somebody to talk to them, to empower them, to tell them that they can offer something to their nation, to encourage them. So first and foremost, as I usually show you in my photos, I went down deep in the markets, identified with those grassroots mobilizers, empowered them because they have the capacity of mobilizing their workmates. They have the capacity of telling you what they go through. They have the capacity of telling you the injustices they went through, and they have the capacity, if trained and empowered, to air out their views. And if trained and empowered, they have the capacity of improving the lives of those they work with. That is why you usually see me in garages, in markets, in small-scale retail outlets, engaging directly with people. I believe in a field rather than office. So as you've seen us, we've embarked on the Masterclass program. We thank leader David Venter allowed us to translate it in our local language. So far, we've done it verbally. We read English and translate it into Uganda so that our people who may not be that much literate learn what it's meant. I also encourage feedback. I assign people duties. They go to the field, carry them out while we sit down together as a team and discuss feedback. We do a realistic SWOT analysis on what we've done and make sure we clear for the better. Of course, we are planning to push that engagement mainly with people who work in markets, people who work in garages, border riders, tax operators, people who work in mines, people who do welding, people who are in the food industry, partnering with my sector leader for agriculture, Leader Daniel. We are planning to do very many programs within the agriculture sector to see to it that we push on the agenda to go beyond we as leaders to create more other influential leaders that will push the agenda of the IDF.
Thank you, leader. Amazing. Thank you. I like that. Collaboration. The more we collaborate, the bigger the platform for every one of us to shine. Thank you, leaders. Thank you so much. In my final notes, and thank you, leaders, for staying behind. We're almost done as we wrap up today. In my final notes, as I listen to these leaders, I'm really inspired because they have walked the talk. Leaders, if it depends on you, it stops with you. Do you see that? It doesn't depend on them. They have built structures. They have built system through the CDC. If it builds through system, then it goes beyond you. And that's what Leader Joseph is telling us. He's building his CDCs through collaboration, through calling them, training them, sending them, giving them authority and believing in them. So leaders, this is our call to action today. This is not just theory, leaders. These are proofs. You can actually start your CDC. All right. These leaders we have spoken to today, leaders, they didn't have resources. We heard them. They didn't even have guarantees that this is going to work. But do you know what? Leader Paul, he's having his CDCs across Africa and he's replicating his festival in many African countries. He started without no resources. He didn't have guarantee. He only knew he was called and he went out there. Today, leaders, we are not building monuments. We are now building movement. So the question is, can you do this work? The question is, will you start? I must start. I must start. And then what is the steps? I heard these leaders well. They've got the steps. I said in my WIFO, I want to know the why, how. The first how, identify your call, leaders. My call is in the leadership training sector, and I'm here, I'm fulfilling it, leaders. Start your CDC. Start with 5 people, 2 people. Just start something. The next thing is register that CDC with the IEDF so that you can collaborate. Do you see that? Whatever you are doing in your community cannot be replicated in other communities in Africa, but you own it. You own the program. The next thing is begin to train your leaders. Begin to train your leaders and make everyone in your team accountable. That's how we roll. That's how we start our CDC. And remember, our mission is very clear. With all our CDCs, we are trying to eradicate poverty, we are building leaders, and we are transforming community. My comrade says, in IEDF, we don't call doctors and lawyers to come transform the community. It is grassroots leadership. Grassroots leadership. So in my closing, let us not just have another session and we're going round the table. Let us start building together. So let's ask ourselves the questions. Who here is ready to start their CDCs, leaders? Can I get your thumbs up? Thumbs up if you're ready to start your city. Hey, President, you're ready? Okay, I'm ready. Let me give myself a thumbs up. I'm ready to start my CDC. All right, thank you so much. Because you are, did I run out? Good. Thank you. We are all ready to start up as leaders. As you are giving me this thumbs up, you are starting your CDC. I'm taking the leader, Cynthia. You're starting your CDCs. So, leaders, I enjoyed this session. We were real, we were practical, and we are activating ourselves to becoming the transformational leaders that we are. Once again, leaders, thank you for joining this session. I believe you really enjoyed and you learned. I have a CDC already. Okay, thank you. Amazing. I've registered it. Let's give you a big hand. Give her a hand. She has a CDC already. Thank you so much, Leader Bassini. So leaders, join us again next week. You have been consistent and we are so grateful. We are really learning together. These are leaders who will become presidents tomorrow. Leaders are from grassroots. The nation deserves the leader you get, because leaders don't come from heaven. They come from communities. So we are building our communities, and these are the leaders we'll see tomorrow. Thank you, leaders, for joining. Once again, Looking forward to seeing you again next week. We are wrapping up, leaders. Let's together wrap up these first cohorts of Leadership Masterclass. Please go to our WhatsApp group and begin to comment on what you have learned so far, the impact of this session so far, and thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for your time, and do have a most beautiful afternoon. Further, keep winning, keep building, and let's keep growing together. Thank you, leaders. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you.